Hey guys, how's it going? It's Jake Motzinger again. Today I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about some training and how I got started with car sales and who did I look for and who did I look to in order to get a sort of a foundation as far as training goes. I started the car sale business never having sold anything before really. I mean, I was a waiter, but I didn't really consider myself a salesperson in that sense. Um, so after the military, after I got out of the Air Force, I jumped into sales and I knew that I was going to be starting, let's say I was starting in September, and I knew that I was going to be heading that direction at the beginning of August. So I started to just devour as much training as possible because I didn't want to jump into something not knowing anything about it. So the first thing I did was go to YouTube. And when I searched car sales training, the first person that popped up was a guy named Tony Swedberg. I'm going to put a link to him in the bottom so you can go there and get sales training. But basically, this guy had so many videos out there and had experience. You know, he told us on the YouTube videos 5 years experience at least, and was saying and showing and proving paychecks that he was making a lot of money that I wanted to make too. So I started listening to his videos, and he's got so many videos you can go back, a long time and really just get almost any question you have answered through those videos. And not only that, but he gives these one-on-one coaching sessions as well. And so I thought, hey, if I could spend a certain amount of money just for a short amount of time to ask somebody who's already done it and to get some tips on how to get started well, I'm definitely going to invest in that. So I invested a small amount of money to have a private conversation with him. It was really helpful to ask some point-blank questions, get some point-blank answers, and to have sort of an idea of what to do and how to do it once I got to the car dealership. I think the number one thing he told me was you got to build up your pipeline. You got to start grabbing as many customers as possible. You have to grab people off the lot. You got to answer the phones. You got to reach out to people that you know, and I really took that to heart. So when I got there, I knew I have to catch as many customers as possible until I can start getting, return customers. Not only that, but I have to answer the phones. And at my first dealership, we didn't have really internet leads that I could handle, so that wasn't really an option. But catching the phones and catching the people on the lot and catching as many as possible, that's what I did. So Tony was a great help, and I continue to watch his videos. But after that, I started to look into even more car sales training, and then I stumbled into a guy named Grant Cardone. Now, Grant Cardone he's been a car sales training expert for a long time, and now he's making a bigger name for himself as a real estate investor. But one of his main businesses is sales training, and you can actually go to grantcardone.com and look through all the different kinds of products he's got. But the first few things I invested in were books, audiobooks. Actually, I had a long commute to my first dealership, and the first books I downloaded were the 10X Rule, which really gets your mindset right for hustling and for drive and motivation. And basically, the principle is whatever your goal is, take the amount of effort that you think it's going to take to get there and multiply it by 10. Because if your goal is to make $100,000 a year and you think it's going to take, this many hours a week and this many hours or this many calls, multiply that by 10, because it's going to take more effort than you think. And not only that, but you should 10x your goals too. If you want to make $100,000 a year, make your goal $1 million, figure out a plan on how that could be possible, and go for $1 million. Because if you come up short of $1 million, you're going to be at 500,000, or you're going to be at 300,000, which is even more than 100,000 than you were originally planning. So 10x Rule. That's the book, the first book that I downloaded, and I loved it. I've listened to it like 3 times since then. The next book was Sell or Be Sold. This is also a mindset book, but it also has some practical tips in there about selling and about how to approach a sale. Not only it's not just about like goals and things like that, like 10X is. It's specific to sales and specific to selling. And one of the biggest things that I got from that book is you have to be sold before you can sell someone. So if I'm selling Toyotas, I got to be sold that Toyotas are one of the best, if not the best products out there. And that when I'm selling a customer on this product, that I am 100% convinced that this is the best one for them. Because if I'm not sold on it, there's no way that they're going to be sold on it, or there's no way I'm going to sell them on it. So, 10x rule, sell or be sold. And then the third one was the closer survival guide. Now, the closer survival guide is like an encyclopedia of closes that you can use in the sale. And this book builds you up and explains to you the importance of the close, but then it actually gives you like hundreds of closes, great closes, examples. He says them out loud. He says what the customer is going to say, and he says how you overcome the objection. And it's just a great encyclopedia of closes to just listen to over and over again. So you've heard these words, come into your ears, and you can even say them out loud so that you practice them. So the next time you're in the situation when you're closing someone, and it won't be the first time you've said this thing. Like if a person gives you an objection, oh, my wife's not here to help me make this decision. Well, sir, if your wife is anything like mine, she already knows that you're here. And in fact, she's already told you what you can and can't buy, right? So is it really going to keep you from bringing home a car if she's not here today? Stuff like that. Just, I've heard him say it. Now I've said it myself before I get into that situation. It's like in the military. You don't just jump into combat. You go through months and months and months and even years of training of different scenarios and situations so that once you get there, you've been there before. You've experienced this before, and you can rely on your training. You're not trying to figure it out in the situation. And then the last thing I have from Grant Cardone is the program Mastering Objections, which is on his website, and I think it's a great program. First of all, you have the online webinar, you have some online videos, and then you have ebooks, which I actually just downloaded and printed out. But you have a whole rebuttal book, which is again like scripts. It's if you come up against this objection or this rebuttal, it gives you a script on how to get through that rebuttal and how to get on with the sale process. Not only that, but it's got a book that you go through along with the webinar. So he's talking and expanding on ideas, and you have this book in front of you where you can take notes, you can highlight things, you can write down the most important things that he's saying and the things you need to remember. I revisit it all the time about mastering objections. So let me just recap real quick from Grant Cardone. 10x rule, sell or be sold, the closer survival guide, and mastering objections. And I think all of those things put together, I spent maybe less than $75. Because I got the mastering objections during like Black Friday sale or something like that, or Christmas time or something like that. So it was only like $35. And then those other books I have Audible, so they're $15 each month. I bought one, so $15. So where am I at? Yeah, I'm at like $75, something like that, $80 for all those resources. So those are Tony Swedberg and Grant Cardone are my basis for training. And honestly, at both dealerships I've worked at, there hasn't been any sort of training on how to sell a car and how to close a customer. It's very much just figure it out as you go, listen to the managers as they're teaching, or as they're actually closing customers, but there's not anything like you can practice beforehand. It's just kind of school of hard knocks. So if you're anything like me and you don't want to get caught off guard, I highly recommend watching Tony Swedberg's videos and using Grant Cardone's products, because there's things you can learn and practice before you get into those situations so that you have a higher chance of closing the customer. You don't want to be figuring this stuff out as they're walking out the door. You know what I mean? Use other people's experiences to learn from their mistakes so you don't make the same mistake. Now, I've got plenty of learning to do. I've got plenty of areas I need to improve on, and I plan on doing that. I plan on learning each day, but I just wanted to share with you where I started with my training. If this was really helpful, if you really liked this, if you didn't like this, or if this wasn't helpful at all, leave me a comment and like the button or dislike the button. doesn't matter. I want to know. I want to know what your thoughts are, and subscribe so you can just follow along with me on this journey. And I appreciate your time.